Hello, my friend, and welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and I am Heather, and I am super excited that you are here. And I just want to let you know that you're going to hear some tips and some tricks, some ideas, all to help you live your happiest and healthiest life. It is called Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, then you can take better care of others. And my goal is to make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way. I am really happy that you're here. Your true self is waiting. So it is time to step up and thrive. Yay! It's time to step up and thrive. Yay! Okay. Yay! Hello, friends in podcast land. This is Heather. This is the Back to Me podcast. And yes, we are going to continue our fabulous conversations with amazing human beings about how to be your fabulous self. And today, Michelle Drew, thank you for having an easy name to pronounce.
My pleasure.
I'm always appreciative of when I can wrap my vocal cords around something. Right. And naturopathic wellness consultant, that is pretty cool. But first, because you've listened to the podcast, you probably know, how did you decide to become a naturopathic wellness consultant?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Heather.
And I know there's a story here, so I know there's a story here, so let's turn off the distractions and listen. Okay, I'm ready.
There's a story. So I'll just start it out by telling you that I almost died. And and it was pretty much, I want to say, self-inflicted because of my lifestyle. I did not take care of myself at all. For 28 years, I was a high volume recruiter. And for most of that, I was a contract high volume recruiter. So I would be hired to do a big job, and then there would be no job. And then I would have to get another contract. So it was up and down, up and down. And I rode those waves most of the time pretty well. It was fine. I just got in my head at one point, and I just started doing really stupid things. And I honestly just started owning this in July of 2024. I spent so much time hiding my story, but now I will talk about it freely with anybody who wants to. But so isn't that so cool? I was hanging with the wrong people, doing the wrong things. I didn't have a job to go to every day. I was between contracts. So I just started doing bad things, eating from a drive-up window, every meal, 7 days a week.
Wow.
Oh, you couldn't pay me to go to a drive-up window today.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. So I wasn't getting the nutrition at all. I wasn't supplementing for what I wasn't getting from my food. And I was doing drugs and drinking every day. So I broke. I landed in the hospital. I thought that I cracked a rib because I fell down a flight of stairs. A puppy knocked me down a flight of stairs. So I wrapped my ribs nice and tight with an ace bandage, thinking that we'll let that heal. And I didn't think much more about that. But I didn't have a broken rib. I had pneumonia.
Oh my gosh.
So now I wrapped my ribs really tight, and they filled up that much faster.
No kidding.
By the time I let my family take me to the hospital, one lung was 100% full. The other one was 75% full, and no oxygen had been going to my brain for a period of time.
How did you even survive that?
Oh I don't know. They told my family to prepare for the worst. And if I did survive, if I came out of the coma, they put me in a medically induced coma for 3 weeks. They said, if she does come out of it, she's going to be a vegetable.
Oh my Lord.
She'll need care for the rest of her life. So I always joke and say that thank God my brother was my healthcare proxy and not my sister, because she's the practical one.
Unplug her.
Yeah, right. Exactly. She's not going to want to live like that.
Oh my gosh.
So thankfully, my brother did not do that, and I'm here with you today.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh my goodness. That's a good thing to take note of who's in charge of your care when you can't speak for yourself. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So when you woke up, did you just get a big smack in the face? Like, what, 3 weeks in a coma is like?
Well, when you have the flu for a couple of days, your muscles atrophy. Do that for 3 weeks.
Right.
I had to learn how to walk and talk, and like my phone, I just looked at my phone and I'm like, what do I do with this? I had to learn how to do everything all over again. So that's when my sister stepped in. She took me home with her and she helped me with I had PT several times a week, and I had to be bathed or showered. I couldn't do anything on my own. I couldn't stand on my tippy toes. So it was a long recovery, and I had some decisions to make.
Yeah.
It's like, am I going to go back to my stupid ways, to the people that I need not to be hanging around with? Or am I going to educate myself and learn how to do the right things? And thankfully, I opted for the latter. And and it takes willpower to do that. And I always like to share with people what solidified it for me, because I don't have children. What solidified it for me, I was sitting with my dog one day and I looked her in the eyes, and her eyes touched my soul in a way that I've never experienced anything else before. I knew that had to be it. It was crazy. So
it sounds crazy, but I don't think it is crazy, because I feel like pets, so a little on the woo side, they're like, they're here to help you. And some of them are your spirit guides, and your puppy was going, yeah, remember what you came here for? This wasn't it.
Yeah, it's so true.
And you were in a space where you could listen.
Yeah.
Like, you had to get kind of knocked on your ass a little bit.
I
But
did.
whoa, it's so interesting. Like, I broke my wrist in December 2023 when I was on vacation, and I was only in a cast. Well, I guess I was in a cast. I'm not moving it for like 6 weeks. That's just one hand.
Right.
And I know what it took. Like, I couldn't open jars.
Right.
I had to have my husband wash my hair.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
And when it's your whole body, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, it took a lot to get back on track. It was a very long road. I got certified in different things. I studied different, naturopathic ways, and, holistic and natural and all of that. And I have lived that lifestyle fully since 2007. And so when COVID hit, it shut down my pet services business. I was a dog trainer. I did weddings. I would transport dogs to and from weddings and get them, in the pictures and all that kind of fun stuff. And COVID came and nobody needed me anymore for 2 years.
Yeah, right.
So during that time, I got certified. I took what I knew and I practiced, and I got certified in that. And I have since grown to, I have 3 nurses that used to be in the medical system that wanted to do something more natural. One is actually going to school to be a functional medical doctor. So the 4 of us work together and help women over 40 to live their best life.
Which is so awesome, because, over 40 is when you start going, whose body is this anyway?
What happened?
Where did I go? I've gotten lost.
Yes.
I had a thought and it left my brain, so we're going to move on from that thought because it exited stage right. So do you meet people? Do people meet you online as well?
Mm-hmm. Yes, wow. Mostly online.
Okay.
Mostly online, yeah. My nurses are all over the country. I have one in Kentucky, one in Nashville, and one in North Carolina.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to someone just recently who does something similar. He's a health coach, and he has also collected like all different healthcare practitioners, like doctors who want to work outside of the regular medical system and all of those things. He talked a lot about parasites. It kind of was, parasites, eek.
Yeah.
Eek, parasites. I remember what I was going to say. Because you were commenting on you kind of had to step away from that life that had caused all of that for you. And I've said it to people, and and I hear it. So we had to leave this behind. But I think sometimes we don't acknowledge how hard that is. because if your identity is really tied up in those people, and like that's hard. Even just one person is hard to leave behind,
Right.
because we are a social species, and
Yeah.
there's so much tied up. I just think of divorces, even like
Right.
the unrest that separating from groups of people causes.
Yeah. And when you're all codependent,
Yeah,
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 it wasn't not easy.
right.
Yeah.
And did you find that you were tempted to ever go backwards, or you were like, I'm on this path and I need this for me? Like, how hard was that step for you?
It was. It was
Yeah.
hard. And there were times that I was just like, what the heck? Who cares? And I just kept going back to that look that I got from my dog. And I mean, I always say DOG, GOD.
Right?
I don't think it's a coincidence.
Nope, me neither.
Yeah. So she was my constant companion. So I had that constant reminder, to stay true to it. And it wasn't easy. I'm not ever going to say it was easy, but it was necessary, because the
Yeah,
next time I might not be so lucky.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, this is your wake up call.
Yes. That's exactly
The
it.
next one, maybe you won't wake up.
Right.
Oh my
Right.
goodness, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to come and try again.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
friends.
Or maybe I would be a vegetable next time. I mean, I feel like I was given a gift, and I even look at that time in my life as a gift, because if I hadn't been through that, I wouldn't be so passionate about what I do today.
And know what it takes to untangle from it, but also untangle the health things that came from that, right?
Yeah.
And so have you found that, like, how long did that period of your life last?
The bad part, or
Yeah,
the
the bad part. The
the
bad
bad
part.
part? I grew up in the 70s,
Okay.
so it
Me too.
wasn't it wasn't as bad as it was during those couple of years, but I grew up in the 70s.
Yeah.
We tried all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, kids at home, that doesn't mean you should.
No, no, today, oh my God.
Today, it's
It's so scary today. So
yeah,
scary. I'm
back
so
then
glad I'm not today.
experimenting was like
Right.
less harmful.
Yes.
less
Way less
less
harmful.
long-term harm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I was thinking, like, do you notice any repercussions of that, like health-wise, and because I'm thinking, like, as people start to change there to become healthier, and stuff starts to happen, and you're like, oh, now I have this ache and that ache, or this doesn't work the way they describe it, and like ways to address recovery
Yeah.
and health practices to be
Mm.
the best you can be with your current state of being.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and again, it was a long journey, and I got a lot of coaching throughout my nurse practitioner, my gynecologist or whatever, was a nurse practitioner, a women's nurse practitioner, and she helped me along that journey. And one thing I have to say, that it was such a blessing. After about a year of doing all the right things, she tested my genes. She did a swab in my mouth, sent it off to the lab. And when she got the results back, she couldn't wait to get on the phone with me to tell me that at that point, there's been one person better since then, but at that point, she said, you have the best genes I have ever seen.
Whoa.
So I was like, yes, all this stuff is working. And
Right.
I'll tell you, if she had swabbed me when I was in the hospital bed, she wouldn't have said the same thing. But we can trip our genes by doing the right things. You can trip a lot of your genes to the positive direction.
So explain this to me, because I thought your genes were your genes, and they kind of decided what color your hair would be and what kind of skin you'd have. And
yeah, I mean, those genes, obviously, but there are health-related genes that you can trip one way or the other.
Really?
Yes.
Why don't I know about this?
I know. Like, people will say, oh, type 1 diabetes or type 2 diabetes runs in my family. Well, what gene did you inherit that gives you type 2 diabetes? No. Lifestyle runs in your family.
Right.
Lifestyle runs in your family, not type 2 diabetes. It's your eating style. Yeah. But so it prints out an amazing graph where it shows you that if you do these things, you're going to go into the green on your, actually probably the other way, the green on your genetic bar. And if you don't do those things and you do these things, you're going to end up in the red, and you're going to, suffer the consequences of that gene not being spot on. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I know, me neither, until it happened.
So what kinds of things, maybe you can, like, diabetes is an easy, like, I think of things like diabetes. Is it things like heart disease and I'm just making stuff up now.
All
Cholesterol, there's
stuff.
one.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all lifestyle related.
So fascinating.
All lifestyle related.
I had a stroke in 2021. And when I asked them, because I'm super healthy in my mind, and I probably don't have the best genes, I'm going to say, but they're pretty good. And I asked them, I said, do strokes run in families? They said, oh, no, there's no evidence. But I'm not convinced, because my grandmother, my father's mother, died at 63 from a stroke. And my younger brothers had a stroke. Wow. So I jokingly said to my doctor, I'm like, maybe my family has floppy arteries and that's our problem. But I feel like there's a lot of things, like doctors are trying very hard. I know they're trying very hard to make people healthy. But there's so many things, I think, that there's too much for them to know everything, but they feel like they need to know everything. So they don't go looking to people who might know other things. That's why I think having a group of people is so helpful, because if you bring in practitioners from different points of view, collaborative healthcare would be so good, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah, right? For sure. Well, back on that point of genetics, my mother, my father, and my brother all lost their teeth in their 30s, 40s.
Really?
Yes. That could be genetic. Or I floss and brush my tongue and use an electric toothbrush every day, and my dentist assures me that's never going to, he goes, those babies are going to the grave with you. Right. My sister and brother are like 11 and 2 years younger than me. They are so sick, like really sick. And I'm not. Our lifestyles are very different, but.
Do you ever feel like you're leading a parade that no one's following?
Yes.
I'm the oldest of four, so I'm the same. Like, come on, you guys. No.
Yeah. My brother would say, what do you think? You're a doctor? And I'm like, no.
I just have some knowledge
my brother should be in a wheelchair. He has MS.
Oh,
and he refuses to do the wheelchair thing, but he falls down all the time and he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And he's 2 years younger than I am. And I'm like, no, I'm not a doctor, but I know what to do to keep myself healthy.
Yeah. So what are common things you find that help people kind of get onto the beginning of the road, or maybe they're in the road and they're just missing some of the things?
Yeah. And what my health professionals and my team have started to really dig deep on blood work and analyzing, like truly deeply analyzing somebody's blood, because your blood and my blood are different. It's our roadmap to a healthy way of life. And that's been such a blessing to us, and given us opportunity to help people in ways we wouldn't have known before, because we wouldn't have known what was going on with their blood and what deficiencies they have, and what things that we need to focus on.
Right.
And everybody's different.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Like I'll say sometimes, I wish I just had a little gauge that I could look at. Oh, her vitamin B is low. It's like, we don't have. I feel like maybe, and that's maybe what the blood work does for you. Like it's hard for people to know what they're missing.
Right.
I know sometimes there's external signs, but those are usually
it's external, like you got a problem long before it's external.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Rickets. Well, guess what? You've had a really long deficiency of vitamin D. So
that's huge.
Yeah, that is,
Huge.
I know
Yeah.
that, and I know it's not as common these days, but I did a project of it on it in school. That's why I always think of rickets.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, and I remember a couple of years ago, a couple seasons ago, I talked to a doctor who was also using blood work to do the deep dive. And there is so much you can learn, but I find that, I mean, I know when I go see my doctor, she goes, "Oh yeah, everything's fine."
Yeah. Well,
But
they use very wide reference ranges.
yeah,
So, if you're in here, you're fine, but our reference ranges that we use are much tighter so that we
right,
can identify a challenge before it becomes a problem.
right. Which is, what would be nicer than, "Oh, now you're sick, let's
Yeah.
fix."
Yeah.
I remember at one point, because I was seeing at the same time my naturopath and my doctor, and I would have the blood tests sent over, and my doctor said I was fine, and my naturopath said, "Your iron is dropping." I went, "What?"
Oh,
But I was still in the range for
yeah.
my doctor,
Yeah.
but it was a trend that it wouldn't have been noticed until I was too low,
Right.
and had no energy.
Right.
So many, so many things. So, are there things that you notice that are common in people when you're doing that blood work? Is there some commonality, or is it super individual and specific?
It's super individual, but most people are deficient in vitamin D
Really?
because the doctor says 30 is good, 70 to 80 is good.
Oh,
There's a big difference there. Yeah.
yeah, massive.
Every cell in our body needs vitamin D. So if every cell needs it, we don't want to be deficient in it. So I like to look at 70. I don't want it any higher than 100, but 70 to 80 is a really good place. And you'll notice a difference. You will feel it. I'm working with someone right now who is in the teens, and that's scary. That's not
Yeah.
good. We can identify stomach acid, whether you have enough stomach acid to digest the food that you're eating. Then if you don't, that's going to be taxing your other organs. And you're not going to know how much stomach acid you have initially until it becomes a problem and you start having liver and kidney problems.
So, someone once told me that if you got indigestion a lot, that meant your stomach acid was low.
Yep. And people
Which
think it's the other way around.
I know, which sounds, and people are constantly taking antacids to turn the acid down. But
They're
if your
killing
stomach
what
acid,
acid they do have.
yes, and it doesn't make sense,
No.
just from a high surface level. But do you know why that happens like that?
Yeah, well, the lining of the stomach is in trouble. So what I do with my clients is I have them drink a specific aloe to heal the lining. Just like when you get a sunburn, aloe heals your skin. It
Right.
also heals the lining of your stomach, the lining of your esophagus. When I first started on this journey, you might well imagine that I had acid reflux like nobody's business. I would end up on my knees next to the toilet crying. It hurt so bad.
Right.
And once I started learning about all this stuff and I started drinking this aloe that my nurse practitioner had recommended, I was like, oh my God, I don't have that anymore. I haven't had it since 2007.
Wow. Is there
And
different aloes, or is aloe just aloe?
yeah, there's a lot of different ones. And
Okay.
like, I don't ever send my clients to GNC or Vitamin World or any of that. You don't know what's there. It's like you want science-based, researched supplementation going into your body, not just anything. So, yeah.
Not the generic store brand?
Nope.
No, no.
I go to Walmart. I get 1,000 fish oil capsules for $9. I'm like, oh boy, you don't even want to know what you're putting in your body.
Well, I remember at one point I saw a presentation by a scientist on omega-3s, and he was talking about 3, 6s, and 9s and explaining how they worked, because people will go, "Oh, 3, 6, 9, that's good." I'm like, after that presentation, I'm like, "But you don't need 6 and 9."
Yeah.
So
Nope.
stop taking them. Just take 3s. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And people don't know. They try to educate. They try to learn on the internet. They try,
Yeah.
but there's motivation behind what's being pumped into their computer.
Right. Yeah. It's don't even talk next to your phone. It knows what you're talking about, and it's going to feed you ads
That's true.
later.
That is true, actually.
So sometimes I'll just say something random to see if it's listening.
You're
Cats
messing with your phone.
right? Oh my goodness. Let's mess with the algorithms.
That's so funny.
So it's like, and I know people can feel overwhelmed because there is so much information, and Dr. Google will tell you whatever, depends on how you ask Dr. Google the question.
Right.
And even well-meaning friends, like so many times I've had people say, this is the best diet ever. Do this one. This one worked for me. And clients will ask me questions, and it's kind of funny because I'll say, well, I'll try it and I'll let you know what happens to me. But that doesn't mean it's going to do the same thing for you.
Right.
And I always say to people, we're an experiment of one. And now, luckily, you don't have to experiment on yourself with someone like you, Michelle. Thank goodness. You can actually tell us what we need. Because I sit back here going, let me try this one. That didn't work. Let me try this one.
You're a good friend, Heather.
Yes, I am. Well, I figure, what's the worst thing that could happen? Okay. And I have some of the advantage that I'm so tuned into my body for the most part. Like I can't tell my vitamin levels or anything, but I understand my energy levels. And because I do meditate and for like over 20 years and have been doing yoga for over 20 years, I can kind of go, hey, I can feel one of my tendons is doing something. Or now when I had my stroke, I had no idea because your brain's a black box, but that was interesting. But anyway, that's enough about me. That's
no, actually I have a friend who had locked-in syndrome. 1 in 5 people in the world have that, and she got locked-in syndrome. She knew what was going on, but she couldn't move, she couldn't blink, she couldn't speak. How scary is that?
Right? Oh my gosh. Did she come out?
She did. She did. And she's a fighter. I mean, they told her that she would never walk again and any of the things. She kickboxes. She's like, I will come back. She still obviously has a brain injury because it was a very serious stroke. And that's unfortunate because people don't see that.
Right.
Like if I have a broken arm, people are going to be, oh, let me get the door for you. Or, you know what I mean? But with a broken brain, it's not visible. So it's tough.
Yeah. The only effects that I notice now is if I get really tired, I can tell because I get a little bit of vertigo feeling. And because it affect that's a long story, but yeah. And then I lost the names of some things. I've been rewiring them. But some people that I knew for a long time, their name was gone. It's like, I knew what they looked like. I knew everything about them. Just didn't know what their name was.
Yeah, the brain is an interesting thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
My memory since I don't want to own it. Since the medically induced coma, my memory is like, forget about it. Forget about it. It's like, some people will say, it's like, oh, remember that restaurant? And I'm like, I got nothing. No. I got nothing. And then like 3 hours later, I'm like, oh, I remember the restaurant now.
Right.
Random.
Someone just, went in and messed up your files.
Yes.
Someone messed up my office. Who did that? I got to reorganize everything.
Yes. For
now,
sure.
I know that you have something for the listeners.
Yes.
And I didn't write down the whole name of it.
That's okay. I put together a personalized wellness starter kit. Cool. So just talking about some foods that are good. I have 13 things that you can do for free to improve your health instantly. And it's grounding, meditating, hydrating. It's all simple things that you can incorporate. And it's a new year. So let's start incorporating some new habits, some good habits.
Right.
Yes.
I jokingly every few months go, yay, it's a new year. Because every day you wake up is you got, a whole new set of whatever's ahead of you.
Yeah.
And the new year's made up anyway, right? So
it is. Yes.
let's arbitrarily pick this date.
Right.
And, Chinese New Year is a different date. And
Right.
it's so funny.
It is.
I think we're in the year of the dragon now.
I think so.
Oh, wood dragon, if I recall, for my wood dragon friends out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to look.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's just a random fact that's in my head. Now, where do they find their personalized wellness?
I dropped a link for you so you can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it a short name for people who just like to listen? MichelleDrew.com.
Yeah, that's my website. Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but I also put a link specifically directly to the
document.
Yes. It's like 6 pages. It's a 6-page document of, just things you need to know about your body.
Okay, that's super handy.
Yeah.
And don't be one of those people, friends, who downloads something and doesn't read it, and it goes into the PDF graveyard. I have one of those folders on my computer, the PDF graveyard, and every now and then I look at it and I go, oh yeah, and then I forget to go and read the thing. So to read it, what I notice for myself now is I print it out.
Yes.
If I store it on my computer, it's gone.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I think it's our generation. I like to have it. I like to hold it.
Like to write scribbles on it, circle things, make plans. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so awesome. Like, I just feel like, wow, I want to know everything I'm deficient in is what I want. But that's for another day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, by the way.
Thank you, Heather. This has been so much fun.
And sharing.
I don't think I've ever laughed so much on a podcast, and I appreciate that. I love laughter.
Life has to be fun. Oh my gosh. Life shouldn't be so serious.
Exactly.
We need to take it seriously, but not be serious.
Right. I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, before we head off, do you have some final words of wisdom for us?
Oh, whether it's with me or somebody else, just really find someone who can dig deep and analyze your blood work to that finite level so that you don't ever get to the point where you're experiencing the symptoms of not taking care of things early on. That's all.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
and it's so true. When your body is working well, life is just so much easier.
Yeah. I feel better at 66 than I ever did in my 40s. I'm like, I'll take it.
Take it. You look fabulous, by the way.
Thank you so much. I feel fabulous.
Right? Oh my goodness. There you go, friends. Testament to living well.
Yeah.
Testament to living well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It has been so awesome. I hope I get to talk to you again sometime soon.
I hope so too, Heather. Thank you so much.
It's
absolutely been a pleasure.
Friends in podcast land, you know someone out there who probably needs to hear this. So send it on over to them and go and download that printout and have a read of it. Remember to print it out. We'll talk to you next time. Take care. Hello, my friend. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you found it useful and you're like me and you want to help others, please share this, comment, like, subscribe, all of those things that will help this podcast to be found by more people. And if you found it useful, there's a chance that someone else will find it useful as well. If you ever have any questions, I am here to answer your questions. I would love to help you. My direct email address is info@heatherstewart.coach. You can also find me at heatherstewart.coach. And if you go over to my website, you will find copies of the podcast. You'll find the link to my Instagram and my Facebook. And I do have a personal request because I do want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. So if you could give me a review, and my friend, I would love if you gave me a good one. If you could share this, if you could send it out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope that you have an amazing day. I hope that you are finding your way back to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend. Be well, and we will see you again next time.